guys, Jamie Ray with Jamie Ray Vintage. It's springtime here in Utah, which means outside DIY projects. Today's DIY is all about how to paint your front door. We're going to be using fairy chalk mother and gunmetal and sealing it with a water-based outdoor UV-resistant polyurethane. The first thing we're going to do is get this door off, and then we're going to get it prepped.
Okay, so a couple of things. You can either take your door off using the screws to get the hinges off, or you can take a screwdriver and just run it up here and knock these pins loose. Okay, and once you get that pin loose, you can just pop it up and it comes right out, and then you don't have to remove this hinge. You can just take the pins out and do that to all three hinges and it'll be off. So this is the weather stripping on the bottom of the door. Ours has probably been on here about 10 years. You can see it's pretty hammered. It's missing chunks. It doesn't even have that slat on there almost all the way across the door. So we're going to go ahead and replace it. This is held on by a pretty strong adhesive. But if you work at it, you can just pull it off. Maybe a screwdriver might help. So I've just got a flathead screwdriver, and it's got this little notch that it runs up in, and it's all glued. Now that it's up, that's peeling right off. I'm gonna go ahead and sand the door. It probably doesn't need it. It's pretty flat finish on here. It's got some dings where the paint's chipped over the years, and I want to smooth those out a bit, and then I'll go ahead and wipe it down when I'm all done. I've just got standard 120 grit sandpaper on this. Should be fine to rough it up, but not so much that it makes it really scuffed and not paintable. I'm just wiping it down now with a damp rag and a little bit of dish soap. You don't want to use too much, because if you leave a film on here, it won't help the paint stick. You want to make sure you get that all off. So I'm wiping the dust off from sanding it and getting any grease or anything that might be on here from hands and things touching it. And then we'll spray it. Alright, it's time to tape off. I've got my frog tape out. It's got the paint block that they have patented. You can kind of see here on the picture, I have had this experience with other tapes, and I've found that the frog tape does do pretty well at keeping out the bleed through and getting your nice clean lines. So I'm going to go ahead and use it on this project because we want it to be really nice and clean on the front door. Alright, it's time to start painting. Alright, the paint is dry. We're going to use this satin Varathane. It's an outdoor water-based polyurethane that we're going to use.
While the paint and poly are drying on the door that Zeb just sprayed on, I'm going to go ahead and brush on our fairy chalk mother and gunmetal on the trim of the door. We went ahead and removed any of the loose paint that has chipped off over the years, so that way we get as smooth a finish as possible. We're going to be using our zebra brush, and we're just going to paint this on. It'll probably take a couple coats. Once that's dry, then we'll seal it with our water-based polyurethane, and it'll be ready to go. It takes upwards of close to 2 hours for this paint to dry before you're going to want to add the poly. It's also really important that you tape off anywhere that you don't want paint to get on with your brush, so we put tape all around the edge and along the bottom.
So we're brushing the poly on to get a nice thick even coat on here. This indoor or outdoor poly is not as forgiving with the spray as our indoor water base, and it wasn't going on very even. So we're going to brush it. So I applied some black E6000 glue on this. I'm just going to put it in the slots that are pre-cut and position it, and it should slide in pretty easy. Okay, back on with our hinges.
Our door is up and it looks great. I'll give you a rundown of what we did to get it completed. First, we removed the door, and then we washed it, sanded it smooth, and we also sanded the trim on the side of our door. And once it was smooth to where we liked it, then we went ahead and sprayed it with fairy chalk leather in gunmetal, which you can buy on my website, jamirayvintage.com. And we used 2 coats of that. Once that was all dry, which took a couple hours, we sealed it with 2 coats of polyurethane for outdoors. It's a spar urethane and it's UV resistant, so that way my color won't fade. Once that dried, we gave it a nice buff, and then we brushed on 1 final coat of the spar urethane just to give it a nice even look. Now that it's all dry and hung back up, I think it looks amazing, and I'm ready to put my wreath on. So my old wreath hanger scratched my door really bad, and since I don't want my new job all scuffed up, I'm going to take and put some felt pads on the back of my wreath hanger. That way I can add my wreath and it won't scratch my door. You can buy these at Walmart, IKEA, any home improvement store would have them. They're fairly inexpensive and definitely worth it, especially after all the time and energy I put into doing my door. I'm going to put a few here and a few more here, and then I'll put some there and there. Also, if you find a felt lined wreath holder, that would also work. I just don't happen to have one, and these were handy. Now that my door is done, we're ready for some more spring DIY. Comment below on something you'd like to see me do, and I'll show you how. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more DIY.